Hello, everyone, and welcome to Super Podcast Action Committee, episode 177. Andrew Eisen here. EZK is not here. He is busy moving his brood to parts unknown. So, with me instead is, and I lost your name and I can't pronounce it correctly, so...
Carol Pinchefsky.
Carol Pinchefsky. There you are. I have 8 browsers open right now, and I lost your name. I guess I could have just gone with Carol. Hey, it's Carol.
Yeah.
You don't need a last name. Hi, Carol. You were on the show about, like a year and a half ago, I think.
Yeah, probably. And since then, I was just writing for Blaster, the website of the Sci-Fi Channel, but now I'm also writing for Geek and Sundry.
Cool. All right. So, freelance writer, also Guild Wars 2 player. Yes. Is that what you've been playing this week? I know you went to the toy fair today. And I appreciate you staying up late to be on the show tonight.
Thank you. It's not late, but after the day I've had, it feels much later than it is. I play Guild Wars 2 pretty, I can't say compulsively, but I play it 4 or 5 times a week. So I'm not like really into it, but because I've been spending my time also on Rise of the Tomb Raider, which I've just received, and I am enjoying the hell out of it. I really am. It is everything I love in a game. It is open enough that I feel like I can explore, and yet not so open that I feel like I'm spending all of my days finding every single little nook and cranny like you can do with open world games. Truly open world games, you can just get sucked right into them, and then you never get out.
Yeah.
Have you noticed that?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm just telling I'm trying to direct the chat to the new show. Anyone watching? We had a false start, which apparently. So I broadcasted for about 2 minutes and 20 seconds, which took about 7 minutes to start going live. So I thought it didn't work, so I had to tear the whole thing down. Okay, looks like our chat is on the right show now. So I played the first Tomb Raider,
the Tomb Raider reboot from 2014,
which was kind of a second reboot, but the Crystal Dynamics 2013 one, and really enjoyed that one.
Yeah, this one is a little smoother, actually.
I'm hoping that it will come to the NX at launch in the fall, along with a PlayStation 4 release. That's what I'm holding out hope for. Yeah, I'd really like to play it because Tomb Raider is one of my favorite franchises.
Yeah. As it is mine. But I've got the PC version, which is why I only just received it, and I was talking about how excited I was about this new game, and some people told me, "What do you mean new game?" Like, well, I'm not an Xboxer. I'm a PC and a PS4. Yeah, well, it's wonderful, and I'm really enjoying it, and I really recommend it. And I loved the previous Tomb Raider, but Rise of the Tomb Raider is actually smoother. It's the difference between Arkham Asylum and Arkham City. Well, no, nothing is as good as Arkham City, but it's more polished. Absolutely, recommend.
One thing that was Lara Croft turned into like John McClane in the 2013 game. She got her ass handed to her, especially in the first hour of the game. She falls off a boat, she drowns, she washes ashore, she gets punched out, she gets hung upside down, she lights herself on fire, she falls 20 feet onto a piece of rebar, survives a cave collapse, falls out of a tree. And I'm like, wow. And then I watched the
tree. Oh my God, did you just say the tree? I'm having a traumatic flashback.
Where she gets the bow.
Oh my God.
She reaches, she grabs it, she falls 20 feet on her back.
I will never forget that.
But then I watched one of the E3 previews for Rise of the Tomb Raider, where one of the cutscenes where she's ice climbing and she's tethered to another guy, and she falls off the cliff face, swings around and slams into the side of the mountain. I'm like, okay, she's dead. That would kill anybody. So the twist is she's been dead since the beginning of the game.
Yes. And by the way, the way she's attacked by animals, I have to say, I've never seen anyone mauled and dismembered so messily as Lara does, but only by animals.
So she goes full The Revenant in this game, huh?
It's awful. I mean, it's absolutely brutal. That's the part I could live without. But yeah, she's not just tough. I mean, she's crazy tough. I mean, people would die falling from cliffs as she does, and yet she just kind of walks it off. So I find that a little unbelievable. My bogometer, my bogus meter goes when this happens. So I'm still enjoying it. Though,
it speaks to how much fun the game is, because you play it and you're like, oh, come on.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
then you keep playing anyway just because it's fun.
Yeah.
So do they find a good balance between stealth and actiony shooty stuff? Because I heard they were really trying for that with this game.
I've heard that. However, I prefer going in guns blazing. So I know for a fact that some people, the way they play it, they like to climb up trees, and there are many trees to climb. You can climb up trees and wait and, hit the Y button or the equivalent of the Y button and just jump down on top of somebody and kill them that way. I have yet to employ that strategy. So, but I plan to. I really do. I promised myself I would, but the adrenaline gets me and I just gotta go kill. However, we have a Steam controller, and the only problem is the Steam controller has a bunch of different key bindings. So you can. Do you want me to show you the Steam controller?
Sure.
Do you want me to bring it up? You've seen a Steam controller? Hold on one second.
I have, yeah.
Right here.
I've seen pictures.
And, there are more button choices. You've got the buttons back here as well. And theoretically, you can bind these keys to different actions. However, we have yet to make this work. For some reason, the only action I can take is jump. And the wonderful thing about being on Steam is that the Steam community has uploaded different types of bindings. So you can play it one way on the controller, you can play it another way on the Steam controller, and yet none of them work. So one day we will get it to work, but I don't want to mess with it. I just want to keep playing. So I'm using I can't remember the name of my controller, but I'm happy with it. It's like a PS4 controller.
My favorite part of the first game was the dialogue that plays right when she gets the grenade launcher, about 2/3 of the way through the game. She gets a grenade launcher and she blows up half a building, and the guy and you hear the bad guys yell, "Oh crap, she has a grenade launcher, run!" And she says, "That's right, you bastards, I'm coming for you all." I'm like,
yeah. And who does not love that? Who does not love getting your own grenade launcher to go and blow stuff up? What is my favorite part so far? My favorite part so far about this game? Well, I just love doing everything. I mean, every section is pretty self-contained. You can hunt, a lot of hunting, almost too much hunting. That's like, if I had any problem with the game, it would be that. You can explore, you can find these really difficult to find tombs. Oh my God, some of these tombs really are hidden. They say, oh, hidden tomb. They're really hidden, so you gotta keep your eye open. Luckily, I'm good at finding maps, and I find maps to unlock other maps. Dialogue. The dialogue I like is that Lara is looking for something that people want to have and other people don't want her to have. And when she is asked about this item, she won't really give a clear answer as to what she will do if she gets the object, because some people don't want her to take it. I wish I could be more specific, but I don't really want to give too much away. But the fact is, her dialogue is really perfect because she means well. She has good intentions, but she's not very. She's keeping her cards close to her chest at the same time. So I thought that was very cool. I really am enjoying it.
I was impressed with the actor who they got to voice Lara in the first game.
Yeah,
I thought she sold it really, really well. As unbelievable as a lot of the things that happened in the game, she sold all of it for me. So. Yeah.
But the one thing I didn't like about Tomb Raider, the first game, was the very, very end. And this is such a a geeky thing to be annoyed about, but at the very end, you finally see her grab the 2 guns and shoot them. And that's a great image. It's wonderful. It's very Lara. But the fact is, you can't really aim 2 guns at the same time.
No.
You really can't. You need to focus and concentrate on one at a time. So when you are aiming 2 guns at the same time, you're actually shooting very badly. So
Yeah.
that just bugs me.
What bugged me is that Lara had to carry Sam's dumbass down the entire mountain. I'm like, that should be the other way around. Sam should be piggybacking Lara down the mountain.
She should have taken breaks. She should have taken way more breaks than she did. Like, oh, I think I'll go off and explore. Oh, you sit here while I go and do this. Like, she earned a freaking halftime, you know? She earned a nap.
Agreed. Okay, so one of the things we're going to discuss tonight is a survey conducted by Quantic Foundry, a video game analytics group. And so they have a gamer motivation profile that you can go fill out, which asks you questions like, how important is this type of thing into you for gaming? Not very important, super important, that kind of a thing. They have over 140,000 of these profiles now.
Yeah.
So they crunched.
You can still add to them right now.
Yeah, it's still open. You can, if you find the article on Game Politics, I linked to the gamer motivation profile if you would like to fill it out. Not that long. Not as long as that absurd social media survey that Nintendo had this week. Good Lord, Nintendo. We don't have ours. And it was poorly written, too. Anyway, so they didn't reveal all the data, but they revealed 2 interesting things. That among the 12 motivations that we have for playing video games that they measure, including excitement, competition, community, challenge, strategy, completion, power, fantasy, story design, discovery, and destruction. Competition is more of a youth-oriented motivation. The younger you are, the more you tend to find competition an important factor of your gameplay. But as you get older, that appeal drops, and that's the same for men and women. Until you get about to the age 54, and then women are just so slightly more competitive than men. So I was looking at this this data, and I was thinking, I wonder if this is a reflection of how we think of our games at certain ages, or if it's more of a reflection of how different ages react to games at this particular moment. Because for me personally, competition would have been a straight line, kind of at 0, from the time I was very young to today. The appeal of competition has been kind of nil for me my entire gaming life. So I wonder if they look at this data, if they keep updating these gamer profiles and look at it in a couple of decades, if they're still going to find that as individual gamers age, the appeal of competition lessens, or if that's a reflection of just this moment in time. What do you think, Carol?
That is a great question. That would be a longer term study of
yeah.
It would take a decade or more to compile the results. I think that would actually be a fun thing to see. In terms of myself, the reason I'm less competitive in some ways, very certain ways, than I had been when I was younger is because I know for a fact I have my strengths and I have my weaknesses. And so because I know myself better as I am older, I don't feel the need to compete. I know what I'm good at. I know what I'm not good at. So knowing who I am as a person, being more of an adult, makes me less competitive. So I can see why older people are less competitive. That said, I'm still very competitive in very specific ways, and I don't think that will change because that's just a part of who I am. I'm very competitive when it comes to trivia, actually. have always been that way, and I think I will always be that way. But when it comes to games, I was never really great at, kind of twitchy gaming. When it comes to FPSs, if I were, fighting people online, I would lose because I'm just not that good, and because I know myself, I'm not competitive in that way. I don't feel the need to make myself better either, because I think competition it's also about trying to succeed and trying to do better than you have been before. And really, there's only so many hours in the day to improve your skills. And when you're younger, you have time. And when you're older, you've got bills to pay. You got mouths to feed.
That's true. Nikki of Quantic Foundry noted that, or speculated that as gamers get older and have more responsibilities and interests, that may be why they're less likely to rate any particular gaming activity as extremely important or enjoyable. He noted that all of the motivational factors were on a downward slope. The most stable one was strategy, which declined a little bit for both genders, but was fairly even throughout the age groups.
Yeah. Games that challenge yourself aren't competitive games, though.
Not by their metric. It's under their social heading. So yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Actually, I just wrote about. It's going to be published on Tuesday. I just wrote about a study on competition. I interviewed. I can't remember the researcher's name. He's Israeli, and he wrote about people who succeed in competitions tend to cheat. It turns out. Did you know that?
No.
People who do well in competitions tend to cheat, according to the research done by this researcher and this other professor. And they determined that people who compete cheat only when it's a competition that is against other people. So when there's more of a lottery type system, when the winning is determined by random chance, then people are less competitive. And the reason it seems that people are competitive when they win a lot is because they feel entitled to continue to win, because they have always won, which is why you get people like Lance Armstrong who dope. They do so because they have always been winners. They want to continue to be winners, but that's only true if there's a competition against other people.
That also seems to indicate that cheating is often effective as a means of winning.
Depends. I think it also means you're a terrible person. But there it is. So competition. So I guess it changes when you get older, according to the study. Maybe because you realize you have to get along with people in order to survive. I wish I could tie the two together better than that.
Where's your article going to be published? Is it going to be at your blog or
Geek and Sundry?
geekandsundry.com.
Yeah. And previously I had written about another study done by Quantic Foundry. Basically, they found out that gaming, your choice of characters in video games is based on your own personality. So instead of this wish fulfillment, actually, that's not how people choose characters. People don't choose characters because they want to be someone else. They tend to choose characters who reflect themselves. So if you're, a thinker who likes puzzle games, if you have a chance to choose your character, you choose a more intellectually oriented character rather. And I think that was very interesting. Let me see. I wrote, people who are extroverted, they like newness, they like interactions, they tend to choose games where there's a lot more adrenaline involved. So that was very interesting too. So Quantic Foundry and Nikki have just learned some wonderful things about gaming and gaming personalities that I find very enjoyable. I love looking at their research.
Yeah, it's interesting work. I wish they'd release more of it more often, because I'm like, I want the rest of it now, because it's interesting.
No, well,
quit teasing me.
Data sifting is really a time-consuming
Sift data faster.
Yeah. No, it doesn't work that way.
No.
Sadly, it doesn't work that way. Yeah, I took a class on data journalism. There are so many factors. Yeah. Anyway,
So our next topic that I'd like to talk about is the latest game from Destructive Creations, a little development studio you may know from a game called Hatred, which came out a year or so ago, which is a game that stars a guy who wants to shoot as many innocent people as possible and then shoot himself in the face. Yeah, it had a unique visual style. I will give it that. And it's Destructive Creations. I admire how upfront they were about saying this is just the kind of game we want to make, and we like controversial stuff. So there it is. It's like, okay. They didn't try and say, oh, we're
professional trolls. They're professional trolls, in other words.
Yeah. But they didn't try and say that we're trying to comment on things and be really explore the. No. It's just a evil guy wandering around shooting people. That's it. Yeah. That was the game. Wow. And reviews came out, and everyone said it's kind of boring. Visually, it's got a nice black and the game is mostly black and white, except for fire and explosions, which glows bright orange, and the occasional neon sign. So it's a real striking visual from a visual perspective, a striking game, but just kind of boring.
In other words, they could have done something interesting, and yet they chose to take the low road.
That's what bothers me. Controversy, I don't care. Make a game where you shoot innocent people, it's totally fine, as long as it's fun to play. But I think a game from the perspective of that kind of person, you actually have the opportunity to do something really interesting here and explore some interesting topics and themes that nobody talks about for the most part. But they had no interest in that at all.
I just thought about it. Wait a minute. So if you are what you game, and that games tend to reflect your personality, your game choice tends to reflect your personality, does that mean that they're really, really terrible people out there? Is that what that really means? That they just want to shoot people? And
no, I think it means that you have a boring personality if all you want from a game is just shoot things that are there.
I love your interpretation. Thank you. Thank you.
But there are also, I would imagine, personalities who, and I don't know what it says about the personality, but speaking from my own personal perspective, I will gravitate towards games and movies and any media that offers something that I've never seen or experienced before.
Right.
Even really exploitative, disgusting horror movie or garbage, just because a movie where you blank and blank and blank, I've never seen that before. That sounds horrible. Like there's a movie called Necromantic, which is about a couple that bonds over a corpse.
As you would with the name like Necromantic.
As you would, and I'm like, really? That sounds terrible. I must see this.
I actually do like good horror movies. I like movies that are good. I don't know if they're new. New is interesting, but good is better. And I would see that if the reviews are good, I would absolutely see that.
No, it's Necromantic, and I haven't seen Necromantic 2. I'm sure it's more of the same. No,
wait a minute. There's no Necromantic.
There's a 2. Yes. They made a sequel. I guess the first one was not enough. but there's a movie that's out in very limited release this weekend called Nina Forever, which is about a guy whose girlfriend was killed in a car accident, and he's suicidal, and he's not doing well with putting his life back together, and he enters a relationship with another woman at work, and the specter of his dead girlfriend is still there and gets between them. But the movie makes that literal. And that's a really interesting idea.
I saw trailers for that. That looks pretty funny, actually.
And from what I've read, it's actually really good. So I really actually can, even though I'm not really much into relationship movies, I still think Return of the Living Dead 3 is probably the greatest romantic movie of all time. But this sounds really good. So anyway, what was I talking about? Oh, destructive creation. So the developers of Hatred have released the trailer for its next game, which is called IS Defense, or Islamic State Defense. And here's the description. The player takes the role of NATO's stationary machine gun operator, deployed to defend the shores of Europe. His task is to blast as many of the invaders as possible until his glorious death. To do so, he has NATO support forces, his machine gun and rocket launcher at his disposal. During the progress of his heroic defense, he gets the opportunities to upgrade his gear, his body, and army rank. Maybe not necessarily in that order, which affects the efficiency of the called support. So looking at the trailer, this looks like you sit in a gun turret and just shoot anything that comes running at you. It's not as visually distinct as Hatred was. It's just kind of your basic gray and brown looking Call of Duty Battlefield-ish shooter.
And the players coming at you, the enemies coming at you are indistinct, you said?
There didn't seem to be anything stereotypical about the enemies running at you, but they're all running at you from fairly far away. Maybe I needed to full screen the video. I should have watched it.
Yeah. You know, I don't like talking about movies and games that I haven't played because I find that really, you know, not genuine. But in this case, I'll make an exception. I want to say, why the hell would you name it Islamic State? Oh, just to be another human troll again. Now I have no time for you.
I mean, look at the language. I think they're not American. I forget which. They're a European country somewhere. I forget where they're from. But so their English has never been the best. But look at the whole blast as many of the invaders until your glorious death. They're using very specific language in order to get a reaction from people.
Yeah, and I don't like that. I don't like being manipulated. I find it annoying, and I like to think that I have free will and can choose to ignore these sorts of manipulative.
Yeah, looking at the game, maybe it would be some dumb arcadey fun in like the vein of Serious Sam or something like that. But if all you do is sit in a machine gun turret and fire at tanks, planes, and people that run at you, that's going to take some majorly creative game design to make that interesting and fun throughout the entire game's experience. That sounds like that could get really dull really quick.
Yeah. I'm actually not a fan of tower defense games. I find them a little too static. Some people love tower defense games, but I see the appeal of tower defense games because even though the action is static, you're constantly moving and building and growing. So I can see actually that game being interesting if it's well done. I would still not play it, however, but it could be clever. I'm sorry that the developers decided to, go to the...
What's hot button right now? ISIS! Okay.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
As someone in our chat is mentioning, it looks like a generic war game that you wouldn't know it was ISIS without reading the game's description.
Which is what makes it manipulative, makes it really manipulative. So they are, in fact, slapping a title on it to cause controversy when in fact they've made a terribly boring game. Wow.
Yeah. And
wow, that's striving for mediocrity.
Yeah, based on hatred, I'm going to go out on a limb. They may surprise us all, but I'm going to go out on a limb and guess that they have really nothing to say with this game, even though Creative Destruction says the game is a, quote, personal veto against what is happening in the Middle East nowadays. So they're presenting it as commentary on current events, but
it's
from
a
what
veto.
I've seen, yes, from what I've seen, and based on the last game, I'm guessing they're just trying to sell it by using, hot button
I can
words,
think of better ways of using your political muscle than to say, I choose to make a statement by playing a game, rather than signing a petition, calling a politician, and giving your statement. There are better ways to be political.
Well, maybe they do that too. Who knows?
Does every dime, 10 cents out of every dollar, or 10 pennies out of every euro go to a particular cause? In which case, be really careful about what you buy.
Guess not, but that would be an interesting gimmick for them to throw out there. A percentage of sales from the game go to support this whatever relief in this place.
I wish I hadn't said it. God. Okay.
Of course, you have to be, but you are, what you were saying there, you are right. You have to be very careful when you do that, because you accidentally send it to the wrong place and you make things worse.
Yeah.
So our last topic for the evening, Zoe Quinn.
By the way, I can't see the messages. You say that you're seeing people chatting.
If you go to the front page of Game Politics, I have the chat embedded there. So there's a chat there if you want to go look at it. Real Next Gen Vixen says you just described the majority of Steam Greenlight games.
Steam Greenlight. I like it. All right. So
here's something that's going to catch people's attention right now. Vote for me. Will the game ever come out? Will it be any good? Who knows? Who cares? Just need a push right now. But maybe IS Defense will be the most insightful and daring commentary on current events.
I hope it disappears and is never seen or heard from again.
Or it becomes a really boring shooter like the last one. All right, so last topic. Zoe Quinn, indie game dev, who you might know from Depression Quest, also author and founder of Crash Override Network, which is an anti-harassment, online anti-harassment resource, announced on her blog, Tumblr, something, announced that she's dropping her harassment suit against her ex. This is a story way longer than we have time for, but to fully explain what the hell happened here. But Carol, I know you have strong opinions on this one. I'm going to talk about this a little bit, and then I'll give you the floor. Quinn's post was very long in explaining why she's dropping the harassment suit, why she's not seeing it through to the end, what happened, and some of the thing I found most interesting is, don't you want to try and set a precedent here? And she says that, in my opinion, it's not the right time yet. I'm not the right person to win this fight
or set this precedent.
Or set this precedent.
That was the absolutely most painful sentence I've read in this entire painful essay.
Yeah. She says, it's too early, and I'm a messy, complicated artist who has a hard time keeping her mouth shut while she watches other people hurt. I'm not the platonic ideal of a good victim because I've had a long past. I don't even have any faith in the system to not totally screw it up every step of the way, even when it's working as intended. The simple fact of the matter is that I'm less useful to the world as someone who fought this case, win or lose, than as someone who can throw all hope of winning away to be honest with you, to educate you, and try and call for reform so I can set up the next girl, so I can set the next girl up for a spike instead of falling on my face. So, Carol?
Well, I do have a lot to say about this, but I'm going to keep it brief because I'm a friend of Zoe's. I've never met her, but a friend of mine knows her, and she doesn't want this to define her life, and she certainly wants this to be part of her past. So she was very upset recently about a post on Daily Dot. Daily Dot quoted her. She told Daily Dot, I really don't want to keep talking about it, and yet Daily Dot wrote this article where her ex-boyfriend was quoted extensively saying, oh, well, you know, just some awful things. I don't want to misquote him. I could always just look for and find the article, but he really seems like a terrible person. But the worst thing about this situation is that this person who has every right to be upset, to complain, to shake up the legal system hasn't been given the opportunity because it's very difficult to get this in front of judges and prosecutors who take this seriously, because they say, why don't you just stop being on the internet? And unfortunately, that's just not a part of the world that she and a lot of us live in. Quite a few of us spend a lot of time on cyberspace.
You and I make our livings on it, so.
Yeah. So, and so the deeply upsetting thing about this is she should be able to prosecute her ex-boyfriend for defamation of character, if absolutely nothing else, because actually he wasn't the person who has doxed her and harassed her and sent threats against her life. So he should be done for defamation, but other people in fact have worse crimes against her, and it's not being taken seriously, and it's deeply upsetting. And I'm donating money to charities that work on this sort of thing. I mean, I give money to the Electronic Frontier Foundation. I give money to Public Knowledge. Unfortunately, that's not Public Knowledge's thrust, but they're aware of the situation. And yeah, I'm putting my money where my mouth is in these cases.
I think one of the most interesting perspectives on this is people argue free speech, but without recognizing that free speech does actually have limits and absolutely has consequences. You do have the right to say anything you want, sure. There are a few notable exceptions, but they're mainly around not exactly what you say, but where and how you say it. And it's I'm a big proponent of free speech, of course, we all are, but I find it interesting that so many people want to die on a hill that, from an outside perspective, at the very least, looks like you're defending your right to abuse other people.
Yeah.
I don't think that's where we want to draw the line. And it's a tough line to draw. I often think, like, how exactly would you write a specific law to define you can't do this? And I think it does come down to everyone from police to the judges in the courtroom just need to get with the times and understand what the internet is and how it works, so that they can make informed decisions when victims come forward and say, hey, look, I'm being abused, threatened, harassed online, and I need
in
help.
the real world. And it's not, if it were just online, that is one thing. However, unfortunately, it's crossing into the real world with swatting. Yeah, swatting. The New York Times did this amazing article on swatting about 6-7 months ago. Did you read it?
Might have.
Yeah. Well, it was fascinating about, people are getting swatted. And so far, only one person has been prosecuted for it, a teenage boy in Canada.
Yeah.
Only
we've read
so
about him.
far. Yeah.
Yeah, and
it's upsetting that only one person.
Yeah, I think not only do police, everyone from police to courts need to be educated on this, but also the social media platforms need to be educated on this so that they understand what the hell's going on. Twitter has been talking the talk of late, but has been really, really failing at actually doing anything.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, it's lovely that they've publicly acknowledged that they suck at this and they need to get better. But
haven't done it yet.
They don't seem to actually have made any improvements, and some of the people that they've banned have been completely the wrong people.
Yeah.
But also, I think who needs education are the abusers, people who seem to genuinely think that anything I write online is just stuff I write online and stop taking it so serious. I think a fair number of these people genuinely don't understand the harm that they are contributing to.
Yeah. I've been reading about perhaps it's a theory. It hasn't really been tested, but now people seem to be testing their harassers. Not testing, engaging with them and conversing with them and trying to get them to see a different way of thinking. It's worked to some extent with some people. But I haven't read any studies about it. But anecdotally, I know of 2 people that it's worked quite well with. And of course, some people really can't be enlightened or educated, but some people have been. I've tried it once. I tried it once with one of my, I can't say I've only been like online abused, really seriously abused once, but minor, not harassment, but annoying things that could happen to a man, any kind of male writer. That's what I've experienced mostly. Gender-based harassment once, and it was awful, actually. I tried to have a chat with him, but I tried to engage him with humor, but that fell flat. So maybe I should be trying a different approach rather than trying to, make jokes about it. I just say straight out, "You're wrong. You're wrong." That's I don't know what the answer is, because for the one time I was really sexually harassed, it felt very violent, and there is no way of really calming a person down like that. You just want to get the hell away from that person. So I didn't try to engage. But what do you do? I'm sure you experience harassment.
Not really sustained harassment. I've had a few isolated incidents of people being unruly or unpleasant or mean.
Yes, exactly. Sorry, I meant that. That's 99% of what I get, by the way.
But
sorry, 99% of the negative comments. I get some very lovely comments too.
Oh yeah. But I'm kind of lucky because I've got all the just about every characteristic works in my favor. I'm male, white,
cisgendered,
not cisgendered, not too tall, not too short, not too thin, not too fat. I'm like as milquetoast as you could possibly get. I don't have wild hair. I dress really plain. It's hard to pick on me. I'm sure I just issued a challenge, but you have a deep voice.
God damn you.
I bet you can't even hit middle C comfortably. God
damn you and your deep voice.
So,
yeah.
So I think probably the worst, most vile, disgusting things I ever got was actually in relation to Zoe Quinn. Back when, right before the events that were starting Gamergate, I had people, and I'm a nobody journalist, but I had several people contact me on Twitter saying, "Oh my gosh, Andrew, you need to look into this. This indie dev slept with a video game journalist to get a good review for her game." And I'm like, I'm not TMZ. You know, I just don't wanna, but game politics, that is actually something we'd cover. So I looked into it. It was horseshit. And I told the people who were talking to me that it was, I was like, there's no review. This is horseshit. There's nothing.
Yeah.
And that's when I started getting some really nasty comments, and even a photoshopped picture of basically some pornographic imagery with Quinn's head photoshopped on someone. Not my head, though. They didn't Photoshop me in there. That's probably in response to that is probably the most vile I've seen.
Yeah. For me, the whole thing comes down to, what if, let's say if it were true, which it is not. If it were true, whose business is it of anybody's? It's people can sleep with and should sleep with whomever they want to without being threatened for it. My goodness, I don't understand. I don't understand people.
That's something that I occasionally do have to remind people in the comments section of Game Politics, that we don't speculate on and discuss people's private lives or sex lives. Because it's none of our business, and it's not. It's almost, in and of itself, it's not relevant to anything we discuss at Game Politics.
Yeah, absolutely. By the way, Zoe, the Daily Dot article, Zoe Quinn's ex-boyfriend says their legal battle is not over. I don't know how to pronounce his name.
Yeah, I don't.
Aaron Gioni. I'm going with Gioni for lack of a better word. Gioni, hold on. He says he's a de facto leading voice in Gamergate movement, and he says he says the protective order served as a gag order, unconstitutionally limiting his free speech rights. It goes on.
Yeah, I'm not clear how you appeal someone dropping charges against you.
Yeah.
Maybe there's something about the legal system that I don't understand. I have a degree in engineering. This is not my area of expertise, but I don't think you actually can. I mean, if the charges, they may take like weeks to vacate, and in that time you can appeal the charges that are still outstanding because they haven't yet officially been vacated. But if she actually drops the charges and he's not referring to some other thing, I don't know how you appeal something that's no longer happening.
Oh no. Quote, the order she opted for is notorious for its potential to be misused as a means of subverting the First Amendment. Oh no.
Well,
oh no.
You know,
oh no, he won't let this go. I don't understand.
It's like, you wrote your really long blog post. Is that not enough? It's still up, and despite I've read him say that he said, I'm very sorry that people are harassing her. It's like, okay, but you do seem to genuinely be, in your actions and what I've read from his comments and interviews, he seems to be encouraging people to do that. That's my take on it anyway. And I believe that, I mean, unless I've not read his that long post that he wrote back in a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, because
I did. It was wretched. It was wretched.
I've heard it is. But what amazes me is that anyone reads that and then goes, I must go harass this person and send her rape and death threats. Again, I didn't read it, but I don't understand. The only reaction anyone should have from that long post is, well, I'm not going to date Zoe Quinn now.
Or I'm not going to date him now.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, well,
be with a guy with these kind of anger issues.
Yeah,
really.
I'm not dating either of these people, and then go on with my life.
Yeah, so it's sad that we have to talk about this in a political forum and a forum about the politics of games.
Yeah. Now, from what I understand,
really has reality.
Yeah, from what I understand, the main point of her legal action was just leave me alone. Stop. I don't think she was ever legally trying to get him to remove his blog. In other words, you said what you had to say. No one's saying you couldn't say it, although it could potentially be libel. I don't know. But what she seemed to be, from what I understood, she was saying, just stop contacting me. Stop talking to me. Stop. And that's it. You said your piece. Move on with your life. Leave me alone. And that... A lot of people seem to think that free speech means that I can tweet a person as many times as I want. And there are harassment laws do say if you phone call somebody and they tell you to leave them alone and you keep calling them, that's harassment and that's illegal. And the same thing goes with the postal system, and I think that includes email. I'm not sure if that actually extends to social media yet, but it certainly should. If you tweet somebody and they say, I don't want to hear from you, leave me alone, and you keep tweeting at them, doesn't matter how polite you think you're being or how much of a point you think you have, leave them alone because you're harassing them.
It's more like you can actually block someone on Twitter from tweeting at you. It's the other people who are then incensed and enraged. And
then they say, oh, you blocked this person. I have every right to block. I don't have to listen to anybody. And especially people who create new accounts to keep tweeting or Facebooking or whatever social media-ing at a person who's blocking them. That is, to me, absolutely harassment. And I do hope that the laws catch up to this, because I think what the laws are and education both on every single side of the issue is just woefully behind.
Yeah, I'm deeply upset that Zoe dropped this because, well, not that she dropped this. I'm upset that she did not get the resolution that she had wanted. And if she drops this because she's just tired and she wants to go on with her life, I mean, yes, absolutely, I understand that. But I'm very sorry that she did not get the justice that she should be receiving from our legal system.
Yeah, and you think, or would think in a perfect world, that, okay, I'm dropping all charges, I'm just walking away from this whole thing, that the harassment now stops.
Right.
Okay, we have nothing. But my guess is it's just going to continue, and maybe
with any luck. And this is going to sound very cynical and bitter. The crowd that is harassing her will find something else to do and find some other target and leave her alone. Unfortunately, that target could be right. That target can unfortunately be anybody, but I don't think Zoe Quinn will be on the names of haters' lips for the rest of her life. I don't think that way.
Yeah, I certainly hope not, because
people who are easily outraged will find another reason to be easily outraged.
Regardless of how outraged you are by anything someone does, whether they make a video game you don't like, whether they say something you vehemently disagree with, nobody deserves that harassment and abuse. Nobody. Not Zoe Quinn, not even Jack Thompson. And that guy actually hurt people.
Wait, Jack Thompson, is he the one who did the game controller who for disabled people?
No.
No. Who is Jack Thompson
He's
then?
the lawyer from about 10 years ago who was notorious for trying to push legislation that would ban video games or make them illegal to sell to kids, and constantly representing the parents of children who were killed in school shootings and getting them to sue the Walmart and Take-Two Interactive and other that guy.
Luckily, if you go to the site EntrePubMed, which is the America's largest repository of academic papers in the world, you will see study after study after study of the positive benefits of gaming. So that was 10 years ago. Luckily, that is.
But this is a guy who preyed on grief-stricken people for his own benefit, actually threatened people with legal action, actually harassed me at work, trying to get me fired for sending him well, he harassed my place of business. He didn't harass me. But he's your employee is sending me email, and my employers were like, so?
Yeah, wow.
But as repugnant of a human being as Thompson could have been in various circumstances, even he does not deserve to be harassed, threatened, and abused. No one does.
Nope.
Should not happen. And hopefully we reach some point in the very, very near future that all that crap is just a very sad pockmark on our history.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, before we end the show, I would like to mention that, and I'm busy with freelance work, so I haven't really read up on this, but I did notice that Justice Antonin Scalia died today.
Yes.
Our readers will know him as the guy who authored the Supreme Court decision on Brown v. EMA a few years ago that essentially categorized video games as protected speech. He was the lead author on the decision. It was a 7-2 decision, and he passed away today at the age of 79, I believe. So I just thought you all would want to know that.
That also means that there's a seat available.
That means there is a seat available, and I feel guilty about experiencing such schadenfreude in the wake of a man's death. But I am seeing a lot of people going, "Oh, we need to wait till the next president to appoint a new justice," and I'm like, "That's not how it works, guys."
I actually don't know how it works. I don't know. Like, does someone need to be nominated within the week, the month, the year? I don't know the process.
When there's a vacancy, I really don't know. But from what I've read, when the president selects someone, confirmation usually takes like 2.5 months. But Obama's going to be president for the next nearly year, so there's time. But I'm seeing actual Congress people saying like, "Oh, it should wait till the next president so the people have a choice." I'm like, the people voted for Obama. Twice. So I just wish these people would, if you don't like Obama and you don't trust him to appoint a person of quality to the Supreme Court, I get it. I sympathize with you, but say that. Don't do that. Well, the American people must choose, and we should.
I love your fist, by the way. That fist.
Get off my lawn, damn kids. Because
get off my lawn.
Because it's disingenuous horse poo.
Yeah.
So,
well, I'm hoping that the next justice, whoever he or she is, can maybe put something about game harassment on there.
That's
their
right.
plate.
They may be the person sitting in front of the court case that nips harassment in the bud.
Yeah.
So Scalia may have made several decisions that I don't agree with, but the man was right, voted right on Brown v. EMA. So we'll always love that.
Wow. One.
Got one. Got that one right.
Yay.
But you know, always.
Well, yeah,
always
the death of any human being is a horrible thing. That said, I'm moving on.
Yeah, so.
Yeah. Death of any human being is horrible. Yeah.
So, okay, that is our show for the day. Carol, thank you very much for sitting in and speaking with us this evening, even though you're drop dead tired from covering Toy Fair today.
Wow. But I did see, out of gamer interest, Think Geek. Do you know thinkgeek.com?
Mm-hmm.
They have a lot of very cool, geeky toys, and one of the cool things they had was a charger for your cell phone. It's cup shaped. It fits into the cup of your car, and it's the one that's going to be coming out in a few months is Claptrap from Borderlands, and they have the person who voices Claptrap recording brand new dialogue for this charger that sits in your car. So yeah, I didn't get to hear it, but there's new Claptrap dialogue coming out.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, Carol, go ahead and plug your stuff where people can find you on the Twitters and everywhere else.
Yeah. CarolPinchefsky.com. Carol, that's pin like the needle, chef like the cook, sky like the thing above you. Pinchefsky.
All right. Andrew Eisen here, EISEN is the last name. YouTube, make silly videos, at Andrew Eisen Twitter and Andrew Eisen Facebook, or on Facebook it's Andrew Eisen YouTube. So that's our podcast. Carol, thanks again, and we will see you. We will see you all next week. Bye-bye.